Your relationship with money matters. I'm Michelle Perkins, and this is the Money and You podcast, where I will be breaking down your relationship with money, offering tough love money tips, and a money dating plan that will focus on lifting the barriers to success to help pave the way for better money practices and increased wealth. It's time to take control to live a limit-free life. It starts today. Hello, and welcome to the new Money and You show. I'm Michelle Perkins, your host, and I'm very excited to welcome you back and excited to give you another tough love money tip, which we will do at the end. I was thinking about those tips and realized that if you're listening and you take note of the money tips at the end of the show and actually implement those throughout the week, take a little time to work on them, little time, not too much. Don't get overwhelmed. And I would say that in a month, in 6 months, in a year, you are going to start seeing yourself really change, and you're going to look at yourself completely as a different person with money by the end of that period. So I'm just going to suggest that you actually take these to heart. I select them intentionally, and I think they're really important, and you start implementing those in your life, and things are going to really change. So today's show is a really fun one in a lot of ways. It's money and manifestation with a very special guest. And I really want to just begin by talking about your ability to create money. And I was getting the mail one day, and I went to my mailbox and I got this lovely book in the mail. And I thought, gosh, did I hear a podcast and somebody mentioned that book and I ordered it? I do not remember. And then I thought, was it just a manifestation? Did I just magically attract this book that I need, the perfect book that I need right now? And so I was really excited about it. It was just a big treat. And then later that day, I got a text from our guest today saying, did you get my book? And so I realized that my friend and my coach in manifestation had sent me a book that I'd never heard of actually, which is really unusual because I feel like I know them all. And there was that book, and it's turned out to be extremely wonderful. It's by Sanaya Roman and Dwayne Packer. I would highly recommend it. And it really gets to the heart of how to attract money into your life, the ways to set intentions, think about money, and see it differently, which is what we're talking about here. We're talking about building a relationship with money. And when you build a relationship with money, it has to be a positive relationship for you want to keep going with it. And that's what we're doing here. And so I just wanted to mention that, and that's going to be the essence of our show today, is how to shift your mindset and attract in more money. There are some little fun tricks you can do. And I have a little check, actually, in the back of my phone that has an amount on it that I am expecting to receive in this month. And so I love to do that. That's a little fun game. Got the idea from the story of Jim Carrey doing that with this $1 million check when he was practically living in his car many years ago. So anyway, there are a lot of fun things that you can do. This doesn't have to be heavy and daunting. This can be a lot of fun and to help you to develop a more positive and enjoyable relationship with your money. So another thing that I wanted to just mention today, I was reading something about wealthy people, and I have something on my phone that I'm trying to access right now. A couple of ideas from Business Insider about how rich people think about money, which I thought was kind of interesting. And one of the things that the article said was mastering your money has a lot more to do with psychology and mindset than we might think. And this is coming from Business Insider. This is not coming from anything woo-woo. And that's what Napoleon Hill preached in his best-selling 1937 book, Think and Grow Rich, the culmination of his intensive study of more than 500 self-made millionaires. So the article goes on and on about mindset and money and how relationships matter and all kinds of other things, the non-money things that you're working on end up resulting in more money. So I thought that was a really interesting piece. And so if you're thinking, why do I need a mindset around money? Why I just need to go out there and work hard and make money? I'm telling you, the wealthy people out there are using this kind of mindset information to bring in the kind of wealth that they have. So, with all of that said, I want to introduce Deborah Deras, the lovely Deborah Deras, who sent me this lovely book. And Deborah, I feel so honored to have her here, and I feel so honored to have gotten to know her. Deborah Deras is an international speaker known as the Top Peak Performance Latina Keynote Speaker. She's the CEO of Synergy Unlimited, a published author and marketing consultant. Deborah is a speaker who creates real and lasting transformation in audiences nationwide. Deborah's charismatic energy ignites the passion within corporate and college audiences by connection at the core level of what all humans desire to fulfill their highest potential. She inspires her audiences to utilize their strengths and talents by helping them to improve leadership skills, mindset strategies, and energy management. Audiences leave with tools, strategies, and inspiration to achieve their maximum potential. And she's going to share today some of those wonderful tools and strategies with us. And I am so happy to welcome in Deborah Deras.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi,
so glad
Deborah.
to be here with you. I'm honored to be back, especially on your new show. It's so exciting.
I know, it is so exciting. And I love having you here because your energy, I'm sitting in my office thinking I need just some Deborah energy right now. Your energy is so amazing all the time. So anyway, not to put pressure on you, but so Deborah, you said something to me that I loved, which was, I make more money when I walk at the beach. This is a direct to Deborah quote. And I would love for you to talk about that for a minute. You said it grounds your ideas, giving you more focus, and clarity is cash. So I love hearing you speak about this. So if you would you tell our audience a little more about that?
Yeah, so I just had a correlation. I love that you talked about at the beginning about the mindset for money, that rich people, it's not about working harder, but it's about connecting and grounding with your true purpose, your soul's contract. I truly believe that. And I had manifested, and I could tell the story later, a house about 12 years ago where I was living right on the beach. Because when I was going through my divorce, I said, I don't want to live near the beach. I want to live on the beach, on the boardwalk. I want to see the ocean. That's it. And I ended up moving away from the beach. And I noticed that no matter how often I would visit the beach when I was living away from the beach, I wasn't going there every day like I did when I lived there. And I noticed that there was this grounding energy that when I would walk on the sand, that when I would see the abundance of water in the ocean, the abundance of grains of sand, the beautiful mountains that we have in Southern California, that I would feel this energy, this vitality. I would feel one with the infinite abundance. It wasn't just metaphorical, it was literally an energy that I would start walking at the beach stressed, my mind full of thoughts, full of anxiety, full of worry. And then within about 5 to 10 minutes of walking, the process of walking, aligning my left and right brain, and the right brain is creativity. That's where the ideas, what I call my divine downloads, could flow. All of a sudden, they would melt like butter in a frying pan. And I would just be like, I couldn't remember what I was worried about. Sometimes I'd be calling you on the phone, walking down the beach, and be like, what was my problem? Like at the beginning of the walk, whatever the problem was would be gone. And it was just so amazing in my business to see that the more relaxed I was, the more self care, which I believe walking is, the more business would come to me. It wasn't the working harder, doing more phone calls, the sending more emails, the grinding. Even Elon Musk, founder of Tesla, said that he learned the importance of sleep and his health because he knew a lot of the Silicon Beach guys like him were just, working all night long, but that's not sustainable. In order for us to be successful and to have success with ease and grace, we need to ground our energy, our thoughts, and our ideas, and we need to be open at the top for the creative ideas, the divine downloads to flow through us. And that's what the beach does for me. I love it.
I love that too. And you brought up so many things that I would love to talk about. You do have some experience, and this is the piece that I always want to jump in and mention is that this doesn't mean you don't work hard, because you are actually one of the hardest working women I know. But you do it in a way that's more balanced because you're intentional about that, because you're mindful of that. And so it doesn't mean you just believe in miracles all the time and don't take action and do the things you need to do. And I feel like that always needs to be said, because it's a kind of a mixed message, actually, the idea of manifesting money.
But the difference is that I'm taking inspired action, because when I was an adrenaline addict, as you know, I wrote a book called Confessions of an Adrenaline Addict, How to Achieve More with Less Effort. When I was an adrenaline addict not in recovery, I used to think that I needed to work longer, harder, and the more pain, the more gain. Mm-hmm. And what I realized through the downloading of the book actually downloaded walking on the beach in Playa del Rey, California. And what I learned from the downloading of the book and the principles that the book teaches is it's not about working harder, it's about working more aligned. So when you, like I said to you before, that clarity is cash piece, when you know what it is that is your purpose, what's your soul's contract, and you focus your energy on that, you no longer have a job, you have a joy. And when you take that time to ground yourself, you're not just going to be doing activity just to do things. You're going to be doing productive action that's inspired, because it's not coming from your head. When I say from your head, from your conscious mind, it's coming from the super conscious mind that is genius potential. And yes, I am taking income producing action each and every day, but I'm not doing it from a place of lack and limitation and like I need to get it and I need to grab it and it's out there. When we ground ourselves, we realize the abundance is in here, and then when we connect with it, it shows up as a reflection of our vibration that we're putting out into the world.
That's beautiful. That's actually that's really stellar information, worth listening to again, because you are so immersed in this, and you're such a spiritual person, and this is training that you've had for a long time, and it shows when you talk about it. And so it's important for people, I think, to actually take that in a few times to really understand and get the insights that you're sharing. How do you turn things around when the negative thoughts about money show up? And honestly, I don't think there's anyone out there who doesn't have these kinds of thoughts. I mean, there's a variety of different thoughts people are having, but some form of negative thinking around money. It doesn't matter. It's not about how much money you have or how much money you make, because the negative thoughts can come at any level about all kinds of things. So what is it that you do to kind of work on? I mean, you mentioned walking on the beach, which is one way to kind of dissipate the whole thing and see your problems go away like butter in a frying pan. I love that. But what else?
Yeah, I have so many tools that I use. And as a mindset coach, the first person I have to work on is my mind, my monkey mind. And my mind is busy. My favorite saying is your ego is not your amigo. It's literally edging your good out. So anytime that we take something new on or we go beyond our comfort zone, our ego wants to seatbelt us and say, wait a minute, pull up the parking brake. Flash alert, who are you to do this? And what are you to think about this? And what will people say? And you start comparing yourself to other people. And I actually created a tool for my clients that I use, and I'm going to give it to you right now. And it's TEBR. So write this down. This is an acronym. And this is a reframing tool, because when I get into that funky place about money, which we all do, right? We're like, oh my God, what's going on? There's more month then there is money, right? Sometimes, right? And the T stands for thought. And the question you want to ask yourself is, what is my limiting belief about money? And my limiting belief used to be that I needed to work hard and suffer to make it. And then the E stands for emotion. So the question you ask yourself is, how do I feel when I have that limiting belief? And you write down whatever your limiting belief is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when I feel that I have to work hard, my emotion is to feel overwhelmed, to feel drained, to feel powerless. And that's not a great feeling. And the B is behavior. How do I act when I feel drained and overwhelmed? Well, guess what? I do nothing. I want to sleep. I want to take a siesta. I want to I want to put my head over the covers. Is there anything on Netflix? Right? You just get paralyzed. That sabotaging. And then R is, what is your result? Your result is, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. When the limiting belief says you have to work hard and you feel like you're already working hard, then your results are nothing. So the tool, the TEBR, is what we want to do is we want to put a new frame. Pretend this is a frame. That's my rubber band. This is my visual aid. So we're going to put a new frame on that picture, right? So the new frame is going to be the empowering belief, because through the power of our mind, we can change the channel from scarcity, all fear, all lack, all limitation, all the time, to possibility. What is possible in my life? So the empowering belief is, and this is why I love having you as my coach, because instead of saying, why is this going to be so difficult? Why is this going to be so hard? You help me shift to what are the other possibilities of achieving my goal with more success, with more ease and grace. So when I ask myself, what are the possibilities here? Then my emotion, the E, is optimistic. I may not be super passionate, but I might be optimistic. And just so you know, when it comes to mindset, you don't have to be super happy, super energetic. I used to think you did, super passionate all the time. You just need to live in possibility. And the possibility question is, what and entrepreneurs that are moguls, like Jack Dorsey, founder of Twitter, who I got to meet when I went to San Francisco. These people like Elon Musk, they don't say, what are the limitations? They say to themselves, their mindset, their self talk is, what are the possibilities? And then the emotion is optimism. The behavior is, okay, well, let me try this. Let me try that. Because when you're open to possibilities, guess what the brain does? Quantum physics is, whatever we focus on expands. When you shift to possibilities, your mind goes to what's possible, and then you can take those inspired action. And then guess what? You get the results of ease, success with ease and grace. Why? Because that's what you focused on. Again, it's a self fulfilling prophecy. Henry Ford says, if you believe you can, you can. If you believe you can't, you can't. Either way, you are right. So, this reframing technique, TEBR, gives us an opportunity to shift from limiting beliefs to empowering beliefs.
I love that. That what a fabulous answer to that question. So there you go, a complete formula for how to move those negative beliefs. Yeah, thank you. That was brilliant. So another question: what? You may have answered it, but the question was, what tools do you use to shift from a kind of lack mentality to a more abundant, prosperous mentality? But you really just gave us that.
I have another one. Don't worry.
Good.
I have another.
Let's have another.
Yeah. I have a million of them because, that ego, that's not our amigo, that's our enemigo, enemy in Spanish, is cunning and baffling. And sometimes it can take us out, keep us up at night, really get us into a place of tunnel vision, right? Where we can only see the problem. Another favorite quote that I have by Einstein is, we cannot solve a problem from the consciousness that created it. And when we look at the level of the problem, we are stuck in this tunnel vision. That's why every good coach has a coach. That's why I have Michelle as a coach. Michelle has me as a coach. Like, we can't see our own stuff, but for each other, we can see it, right? So when I was in a funky place about money one day, I had this awareness that the first three letters in funds is fun. Fun, also funky, but fun, Fun, right? So I remember reading in this book, it's another great money book that I read, and it's by Emmanuel Dagger, and it's called Easy Breezy Prosperity. And in his book, he talked about that the more we play, the higher our vibration will be. And so much when it comes to manifestation, of money, which is energy. Our energy needs to be in a high place. And our energy can't be in a high place when we're in worry and anxiety and fear. Like I said, that scarcity, this is possibility.
Right.
There is a big gap right here. See this big gap? We need to close it. How do you close it? If you're an adrenaline addict, you'll think, oh, I just need to work harder. But the more you work harder, the bigger the gap becomes. Because it's not about working harder, it's working smarter. But when we relax, because that's contracting, right? But when we relax, we release the idea that we need to figure it out, right? And we surrender by having fun. We, in that place of having fun, whatever your fun is, maybe your fun is tennis, maybe your fun is golf, maybe your fun is a walk in the park, maybe your fun is walking your dog. That in that place of relaxation, you're walking your dog, all of a sudden that idea comes for your business, for your money making idea. It just drops in. So what I did was, especially it was during quarantine when all of my gigs canceled. When I say all of my gigs canceled, like my entire year, 2020 and 2021. We're in 2021 now. Yeah. I still don't, all my gigs are still canceled. Not, I still do stuff virtually, but all my in-person gigs canceled and international gigs canceled, right? I should go back to saying I'm an international speaker because I took that off because they were canceled. But it's gonna happen again. So what I did was to get me through quarantine without feeling like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? I made a fun list. It's on my door. It says fun and funds. On that list says music, online concerts, meditation, paddleboarding, beach yoga, dancing, because the last 5 letters of abundance is dance. So I do salsa parties. I take samba class in my living room. No problem. I go to Prince parties on Zoom. I will not let the pandemic stop me from dancing. Walking in nature. I started roller skating dance classes on YouTube in my bedroom. What else? Beach cycling, because they have beach cycling on the beach. And I got a little indoor cycle. So that's my fun list. And guess what? The more fun I have, the more funds I have. The more fun you have, the more funds you have, because it takes your vibration out of scarcity to possibility.
Beautiful. And I know, I mean, when you talk about it, it sounds fun, but when you're, I mean, it sounds like that's exactly what I'm going to do. But, it was interesting as I was listening to you talk, because I just heard somebody speak on this recently. We were all having a discussion and she brought this up, and she is a person who does like organizational design and is really good at thinking like of projects and how to make them happen. And one of the things that she said that just really struck me, I haven't stopped thinking about it all week, is to be really aware of if you're focusing on the correct problem. We think we have these problems, and so we name them, and then we go down this whole rabbit hole of addressing that problem. Maybe that isn't even the right problem. And it's just had me fascinated, because now everything that I'm thinking about, is this a problem? I'm rethinking, like, I don't know. And it kind of made me think of it when you were talking about walking on the beach and you suddenly can't remember the problem. Maybe that wasn't a problem, or it wasn't the problem to be focused on. So it just brought that up for me. I just wanted to share that because I think it's such an interesting question. And I think when you're having fun and you're getting out of that mindset too, it helps you to get more clear on what the real problem is, and maybe eliminates some of the made up problems. But right. I also,
and can I say something about
please.
that? Because many times the problem is not the situation or condition, because even the pandemic, even the quarantine, I coach a lot of small business owners. Everything that happened in 2020, as bad as it is or was, is temporary. Every situation, condition in our life is temporary. What the real problem is our beliefs. And the problem is perception, how we are seeing the world. So if we are seeing the world from an energy or from a viewpoint of the level of the problem, we're always going to be stuck. So what fun does, and what meditation does, and what music does, is it elevates us to a state above the problem. So when you're in a state above the problem, you're able to see the big picture. You're able to see the sunlight through the clouds, so that you see that there's that light at the end of the tunnel. And from that clarity, from that discernment, you're able to make choices that will get you out of it. So the problem really is our perception and looking at it at the level of the problem instead of above it.
That's brilliant and so true. And I know a lot of times when you're in the problem and somebody says you better step away, you feel like you can't. Like, oh no,
Right.
this is crucial. I can't. There's nothing I can do right now except work on this problem and solve it. And what you're saying really beautifully is you're not going to solve it. So you better take that time and eliminate any of the excuses or whatever to step away and try to do some of these other things and elevate above the problem so you can see it like an outside observer. And,
Right.
Or bring in an outside observer to look at the problem with you because they'll be
Right.
coming in automatically with a different perspective. So,
or hire a coach like Michelle.
well, that's
there you go.
I mean, or you. So, yeah, really, really great. This is great stuff. What was a point where you were at kind of a low point with money, and how did you personally turn that around?
Well, I would like to say it probably last year,
Well, yeah.
in March,
Mhm.
towards the end of March, beginning of April, when everything began to cancel. And I truly, being self-employed, a freelancer, a consultant, I don't have a paycheck. I don't have a salary. I am like a gig worker.
Mhm.
So when things start to cancel and then there's nothing on the calendar, there can be the appearance of lack. There can be the appearance of limitation.
Right.
And I remember I came to you for coaching and you were, giving me, feedback and telling me about my talents and skills. And I had this aha moment. And my aha moment was not to focus on the current condition of the cancellations, but to focus on my talents and my skills and abilities and how to be of service. So I changed my thought pattern from why is this happening to me, which puts me as a victim.
Right.
Anytime we ask the question why, we automatically go into victim consciousness. But when I went up above victim consciousness to kind of like empowerment consciousness, I asked a different question. The quality of our questions are the quality of our lives, right? And the question I asked was, how can I be of service with the talents I do have in the capacity I do have? So when I got this idea is, what if I did webinars? What if every Wednesday I did one webinar and I would do them totally free and I would give people information on, how to speak with confidence, how to market yourself, whatever.
Right.
And so I just said, give away your talents, give away. And I started with one webinar once a week. By April, I was doing 25 webinars a month, paid webinars. And I think this month, a year later in April, I'm probably doing 30 webinars paid. So I started out, how can I give? How can I serve? And I did it out of the goodness of my heart, free. And then from that energy, it's the law of circulation. The law of circulation is the degree you give is the degree you receive. Circulation, energy out, energy in, energy out, energy in. So from the goodness of my heart with no expectation, with no attachment, I gave of my talent, skills, and abilities, because in the book Soul Currency by Dr. Ernest Chu, he talks about we could lose millionaires all the time, lose all their money and get it back. Why? Because one thing you could never lose is your assets, your talents, your unique talents, your unique skills, your unique abilities. You can't lose that. Right. You could lose houses, you could foreclosure, bankruptcy, divorce, bad FICO score. They can never take that away from you. And I realized that and I got chills in my body. And I'm like, I'm just going to give of myself. And it came back to me 10. I get teary because it was like such a beautiful experience to surrender, thinking that I needed to get. We don't need to get anything. We need to let our talents and skills out and into the world.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And it so resonates with something I read the other day too, that was basically don't attach yourself to a person, to a company, to, a structure, because you don't know when that person or company or whatever might just be out of your life. And so But what you're saying is none of that matters as long as you're, you know, you've taken inventory of your strengths and everything else and you're using them in your life, then you can use them somewhere else with somebody else at some
Right.
point. So yeah, and I think it's pretty fascinating to go back and think about how that felt, knowing that all of your jobs were completely gone for a year, and you'd had a lot lined up, and you were ready to go. You kind of had a good sense of how much income you were going to earn and what was going to be happening and where you were going to be, and suddenly, poof, that's not there anymore. And but when you if you were to take inventory now of all the things that you learned, all the people that you met this year doing this differently, and all the the opportunities that came from these webinars that you just set out to do using your skills, it would be pretty interesting because
Right.
yeah, yeah.
It's so true. And one thing, I know you didn't ask me this, but I'm going to answer it.
Please.
One of the things that I learned from quarantine and the pandemic, and one of the abundant gifts that I received from it, is the gift of a more balanced life. Before the pandemic, I was literally driving, and driving is very stressful for me. I had 15 car accidents, so I have like panic attacks almost every time I drive. And so I wasn't really driving, I was Ubering to get places, which was like also stressful because you never know what kind of driver you're going to get or how you're going to get there or how much it's going to be. And having a lifestyle where I didn't have to live out of a suitcase, where I didn't have to go from gig to gig and place to place, where I could still serve and give my infopreneurship, my information business, but through Zoom. And like now, I'm barefoot. I could be barefoot, not wearing uncomfortable heels, and still be able to have a joy, not a job, to be able to work from home, a goal and a vision. I had that goal 2 years ago, and I'm like, oh, well, go 50% home, 60%, 80%. 2020 gave me the gift of 100% home.
Yeah.
And now that I'm home, I love working from home. I love not driving. I love not traveling. I may never go back to driving again.
I know. The no driving thing was big for me too. I don't know. I just took it for granted. It was just part of my life. It wasn't a part I liked, but it was just, I stopped thinking about it. It just was what it was, And then when I wasn't doing it, oh my gosh, it really was beautiful. Yeah, there's a lot that came of the year, good and bad, but certainly learning. So we all learned a lot. And for that, I am grateful. I like to learn, as do you. I was going to share a little case study story, and I'd love for your input as well. So, because you'll have a different insight as to what brought this about. But a client just shared with me a couple of days ago. I got a text, and she has products that she sells, and they're beautiful, wonderful products. But she's a solopreneur, and it's been a ramp up over several years to get these products out. And, as it takes marketing and all kinds of things to make this happen. And so it was a little bit of a slow process. Plus she has other jobs and kids and what have you. And so we were working together on building her business. And so she sent me a text and said, oh my gosh, 3 companies just reached out to me and they want my products. And she's already signed one contract, and then there were some others, and she was just so ecstatic. And she was really appreciative of the work that we had done together, and said, I'm so glad that you kept me going, because I could have really given up, along the way. And I thought, sometimes it takes longer than we think. And sometimes we think that's kind of a sign that we should stop or whatever. And I just, she had the right mindset. She had the intention. She was working hard on this. And you never know exactly when manifestation is going to take place. So what do you have to say about that? You can't set a timeline, obviously, but what should the expectations be around manifestation and when things start to show up for you?
Well, and that's the nature of manifestation. That's why I love that book that I gave you. That book that I gave you is called Creating Money by Sanaya Roman and Dwayne Packer. I purchased that book when I was 19 years old. And when I was 19 years old, My stepmom had notified me that I needed to leave or pay rent, and I had no job, no place to live. And I literally used that book to be able to manifest my first job, a ride to school, like everything that I did. But one of the things that it talks about in that book when it comes to manifestation is to let go of any expectation, any attachment, any holding on to the outcome, because your expectation of when is this happening, is it going to happen, actually stops it. It stops the whole process of manifestation. How manifestation works is on an energetic level, right? Quantum physics teaches us that like attracts like, that vibration attracts vibration. So when you're in a vibration of expectation, you're literally in wanting. And the translation for wanting is lacking. And wanting and lacking is not the vibration of having. So when I coach people on manifestation, what I coach people to do is to be in the feeling tone, to be in the grateful place of gratitude, appreciation of already having it. So in that book, it taught me it's not the thing that we want, it's what that house, that job, that opportunity will give us. So say I want to live at the beach because it makes me feel at peace. What can I do to feel more at peace now? So when I was manifesting my new beach place that I live at now, I would go to the beach and I would meditate. I would go to the beach and I would roller skate. I would go to the beach and I would watch the sunset, to be in the vibrational frequency of peace, what it's like to live a peaceful, calm, grounded life. So the advice to your client is not to say, when is this going to happen and what do I need to do? But to ask her, what will having that give you? How will that make you feel? And if she says, I'll be free when I have that, then you coach that client and say, well, what can you do now to anchor and elicit that vibration of freedom? Because when you are experiencing that freedom, you will be at the vibration to attract the object of your desire. Boom. And it will just drop on your lap. Why? Because you're not wanting it. You're not expecting it. You've surrendered to, and actually, once you start experiencing that freedom, you almost forget about the thing you wanted. You're like, you know what? I'm good because I'm experiencing that freedom now. But as soon as you let go of that attachment, you experience it now, boom, it drops in.
Well, and on that note, one thing that she'd been doing in the last 2 months is a super serious gratitude practice, and daily gratitude practice in a very kind of, structured way. And so that's very interesting with what you just said. So makes a lot of sense. Well, I love talking to you. Our time is almost up, but this has been so much fun. And I know people listening are going to want to talk to you or listen to you. And there are ways to do that. So do you want to share a few of those?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Now I'm obsessed with your client. I'm like, in her gratitude practice, just one thing so we could course correct the gratitude practice.
I love this.
Because sometimes people are grateful, but they're grateful for the future. So they're saying, oh, I'm so grateful when this happens, or I'm so grateful, I'll be happy when this happens. So she could be structured doing this gratitude practice, but what she needs to do, or what I invite her to do, is to be grateful that it's already here now. So we can't manifest from future. We can't manifest from past. The only place we can manifest is from the infinite and eternal now. Okay, friend? Okay, yeah. So that's just for your client. Okay.
Yeah, no, and I think that is, in fact, what she was doing, which was I think, maybe what allowed these other events to happen now that we're talking about it. So,
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's really important that the listeners know that, because I hear people saying things and it's into the future. Oh, when I get my PPP money, I'll be good. Right. Or when I get this. No, we got to say we are good now. We're aligned now, and speak it into existence by aligning with it now. So how can you connect with me if you want more vitamin D, dynamic Deborah Deras? I have a YouTube channel, which is a great place because I have my own podcast. It's called Align for Success. and you
And when is
can
that on?
tune it. It is live actually every Monday at 6:15 p.m. Pacific time. So we stream it on YouTube. If you want to check it out, it's at DeborahDerasLive.com, which is my name, DeborahDerasLive.com. You could also connect with me on Instagram, which is Latina Speaker. Also, the IGTV for the podcast is there. Or if you know the formula that I mentioned to you, the TEBR, I have that in a free video if you want, and you can grab that and download it from my website, which is just my name, DeborahDeras.com.
Beautiful. Thank you. And that's great. That's great to give people. That's a huge gift. So, Deborah, thank you so much for being here and sharing your wisdom and your energy. And you are an amazing person who's making amazing things happen in the world and helping other people do amazing things and really live their dreams. And so thank you for being here. And please, any listeners who you should reach out to Deborah. I don't like to say should too much, but it seems like I do these days. And but yes, they're lucky to have the opportunity to reach out and connect with you and listen to you. So I love your podcast and I love listening to you in general. So thank you again for being here. I'm really honored.
Thank you for having me. What a pleasure always. I'm so grateful.
I'm so grateful too. Not for what will happen in the future, but for right now, having you right here.
Ahora mismo, right now, right
you.
now.
I need to practice with you right there. So, okay. So here we are toward the end of the show, and it is tough love money tip time. And so I really want to just piggyback on what Deborah has been talking about and what we've been talking about with respect to manifestation. And so this week's money tip, which I really, really hope that you will actually do this, super important to also take action. What is one money belief that you can adopt? If you spend a few minutes kind of thinking about some of the beliefs in your mind and the things that you're telling yourself, what money belief or what one money belief can you adopt that will align better with your goals? So we've been listening to Deborah, who is the queen of aligning with success. And so choose one money belief, pick a simple one, and write that down, that a way that you can, a new money belief. Let me rephrase this. So you have a money belief that may not be working for you. I want you to write down a new money belief that aligns with the goals that you have. Write it down, say it to yourself daily, put it in front of you, and let's see how that might impact the way you're seeing things with money as you go forward. So that's this week's tough money tip and I said that wrong. Tough love money tip. Okay. So have you implemented last week's tip or the week before? Please go back and try to do some of that and let me know how that's working for you. I would love to hear from you. I would love to get any questions that you have that we can ask any of our upcoming guests, and I would love to answer questions as well. So please reach out. You can find me at limitfreelife.com, Live a Limit Free Life on Instagram, Limit Free Life Facebook page, and on YouTube on the Limit Free Life channel. I have free resources on my website, and I would love for you to book a strategy session. Let me know if you have a money challenge you want to talk about. I'm more than happy to hop on a call and discuss it with you. So this is another Money and You show, and we look forward to seeing you. Please follow us and subscribe and get in touch with us. So thank you so much. Thank you, ubngo.com, and all the wonderful help that we get for this show, Grace and Tony and Alexander, and I really appreciate the opportunity to do the show from this beautiful station right here, the studio in Burbank, California. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.